In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use positioning to win more gunfights and in turn win more ranked games in Rainbow Six. I'm going to go through 5 points, so make sure you watch until the end so you don't miss out on anything important. The 5 topics that I'm going to go through are off angles, repositioning, awareness, perspective, and exposing angles. So I'm going to begin with off angles. It's common knowledge in Siege to pre-aim and pre-fire at common angles. Common angles are typically on corners where you think you're safe because you're holding a head peek around the corner, but it's that commonly done that people know to pre-fire it and pre-aim it. So you end up dying when you think you're going to be safe. With things like Pika's advantage and ping, and the enemy's map knowledge to know where the angles are, it just makes you a freebie if you hold common angles like that. This can be stopped by holding off angles. Now, an off angle is something that makes your head in a weird position, causing the enemy to have to react, which will negate the benefits of them having Pika's advantage or having any kind of ping advantage on you by swinging you. It also means that as long as your crosshair placement is good, you just need to shoot, whilst they need to first react to the stimuli of you being in a weird spot. They need to process that and move their aim to where your head is, and then they need to shoot. So technically you should have all the advantages to kill them. As long as you play the right off angles, this will win you so many more gunfights. And if this doesn't work, it generally means that you've been drawn out first, so that the angle is no longer an off angle. Obviously, if the enemy knows that you're in this weird angle, then it's no longer an off angle. So this is going to go into the next point, which is repositioning. As a defender, it's very easy to be comfortable and safe in a spot and just sit there. However, this will make you a freebie to enemies. So from now on, I want you to use this rule. After anything that happens in the round that gives your position away, reposition. This can be anything from being drawn, getting a frag, or even just shooting your gun at somebody. From this, you can either try and fall back and reaggress later, or change position to a different place within that same room. This is because it'll keep the enemy guessing on where you could be, and it turns kind of wherever position you are into an off angle like the previous point, because they don't know where you are, so they have to check everything, they have to be wary of everything and be careful. Or they might just assume you're still in that original spot, come in, pre-fire on that, and you get a freebie on them because they're not looking your way. In ranked, it's very common for people to be bad at gathering information, so this can be the difference between winning and losing rounds if you play these repositioning and playing off angles. Especially in the later stages of the round where people either don't have drones left, don't have time to drone, or simply are just rushing because the time is going low. One thing you need to be careful though is how you do this, how you reposition. You can't obviously just sprint to a different corner as soon as you get droned out, or you can't obviously just shoot at somebody, then stop shooting and run to a different corner, then start shooting again, because one, it's very loud and it defeats the purpose of them not knowing where you're going to be going, because they could just guess from sound. So you want to try and do it as safely and as quietly as you possibly can. Now the third thing that I want to talk about is awareness, and this is making sure that you're looking the right way. This one kind of sounds like common sense, which it kind of is as well, but when the action phase is a thing, you need to always be ready for somebody to be pushing you. It doesn't matter where you are on the map or round time wise where you are. There could be somebody pushing you. There could be an Ash sprinting into sight faster than I sprint to the fridge for food, which is quite fast by the way. And there also could be a guy just baiting and spawn for 2 minutes and 45 just to get his one frag. You have to be aware and positioned in a way to be prepared for anything. The main takeaway I want to give you from this is to be ready and be gun up on angles. You don't need to be aiming at everything. Just be prepared and be ready to shoot when somebody shows the face. So what I mean by this is don't be sprinting around in random spots. Don't be just aimlessly walking around. Have a goal in your mind of where you want to be, and just think about where people could attack you from. So if I'm defending site, I'm looking at the entry points to site. I'm not looking at my teammates. I'm not looking at the ceiling or the floor. I'm looking at the doorways kind of thing. The fourth thing I want to talk about is perspectives. Now this is arguably one of the most important things to consider when holding angles. So many times I've been killed off an angle and considered the enemy might be cheating because he did this weird pre-fire. But then I watched the kill cam and I realised that I was just positioned in a bad way, that I'm exposing myself without him, so he can see me before I can even see him. So then it's not actually a sus thing that happened, it was just perspectives being weird. And that's because of the positioning and because of the angle that I'm holding. The way that it works in Siege is that the camera is in the middle of your head, in between your eyes. So you might think that when you tuck behind a corner and you can just see around the corner because you that's where your camera sees. However, there's still a bit the right side of your head still sticking out. So depending on how they approach the angle, they can see you before you can even see them at all. Now, if you want to know how to abuse this, you want to hold angles as far away as you possibly can from the corner, from the angle. and this brings two benefits. The first one is if you're further away from the angle, you're a smaller target to shoot at, as well as you can see the enemy first. So long as you're further away than the enemy, you will be able to see them that little split second before they see you. The final thing I want to talk about is exposing yourself to one angle at a time, and this is called another way to explain this is slicing the pie. So this mostly applies to peaking angles, but it also applies to holding angles. I'm going to talk about both now as well. When you're trying to clear an angle or clear a room, you want to expose yourself to only one angle at a time, and you want to try and limit the amount of simultaneous gunfights that you can be a part of. If you slowly cut your aim around the corner of a room, checking common spots along the way, like just checking one spot, going to the next, checking the next spot, checking the next spot, that's called slicing the pie, and it's also exposing yourself to one angle at a time. If you think every single one of these little checks that you're doing, somebody could be in every one of them spots, you don't want to swing around and expose yourself to all of them. You want to check them one at a time and clear them efficiently and effectively. This is something that takes a bit of practice, because you have to kind of go through like map training or even just deathmatching, checking these angles again and again and again, until you realise like what angles people are actually in, and you know which ones to check, like how to check it more efficiently, because you do it that much, you get faster and faster at doing it. You might start off slowly doing this just to get it going properly, because you don't want to start off too fast and be rushing out and then exposing yourself without meaning to. Now, how this applies to holding angles is that you want to think about how many angles could peak you from the one that you're holding. I'll give you two examples now, and I'll let you try and think of which is the best way to hold these angles. So if I'm in Oregon Laundry here, I can prone and hold this freezer doorway by like head glitching around the side of the table. However, I could also just crouch behind the table. Which one would you say is the best way to do that? So in my opinion, it's the prone angle, because if I'm crouched, I can be exposed to pillar, I can be swung from the storage double door, I can speak anyone even just in the hallway somehow, they can see me. If I'm prone and hold like a pixel on that door, I'll get a freebie on anybody that crosses out of the freezer door, if that makes sense. Another way to explain it is for blue. If I'm holding this pixel onto blue here, I can react to anybody crossing and just swing out and kill them. Or I could hold it like this and hold a wide angle on the whole of the blue. Now, obviously if I'm holding this wide angle, I can see everything that's happening outside of blue. However, they can all be like in random spots that I don't yet know about and get me. If that makes sense. I guess somebody could be hiding behind the barrel, just peek up and kill us. Or somebody could swing around the corner while somebody gets up from the barrel and kill us. That's why you don't want to expose yourself to multiple angles. So that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like and I'll see you in the next video.